Good morning, Rabbi Sai. And sponsored L'Zeichen Nishmas Zushe Yosef ben Shmuel Tzvi by the Blech, Greenberg, and Addi families. Also, zchus, refore Shliма of our dear cousin, Yאיר ben Dvora Esther, Eytan Rund, who will, Emir Hashem, be undergoing a 9-hour operation on Sunday to remove a benign brain tumor. Please have him in mind when learning and saying Tehillim on Sunday that all should go well with the surgery. Rafua, Shleima, Yאיר ben Dvora Esther. Let's see what we have here. Shkoyach. Whoa. This is by one of the sponsors, David Addi. Hi, Rebelli. I just want to let you know I'm a big fan of what you do and how you promote the Daf. I wish I can say I watch you every day, but your line of, it's not about the Daf, it's about the Yomi is so true. Ever since I started this Daf cycle, I've not missed a day, and I started learning others' Darim, and have grown tremendously, which would not have happened if it wasn't for the Daf. People put the Daf down, but what they fail to understand, the Daf is a catalyst for many of us to grow and pick up other Siddharim. Hashem should bless you to continue what you're doing and bring the Daf to many more people. A quick word about my father-in-law, Zushe Yosef ben Shmuel Tzvi, Rabbi Blech, who I'm dedicating today to my father-in-law. My father-in-law knew Shas cold. He was one of the foremost experts in kashrus. I'll tell you what cold is. I don't know. It doesn't say here. I think I mentioned this. I remember saying this just recently. I was taking a test for Dirshu. Remember this, Maisa? I was taking a test for Dirshu. It was one of those tests. It was like 120 daf. And we were learning Masechta Shabbos then. So it was like almost 8 years ago. And my father was by me for Shabbos. And he wanted to go see the Rashiv of Lakewood, who's going to somebody's house, a Balbus in Chicago. So we said, okay, let's go. I told him that I have to chazer for this test. Chazer, don't worry, chazer. Anyways, we get to the guy's house, and the Rashiv is not there yet. So he asked the owner of the house, could I learn? Do you have a place I can learn? He says, yeah, go into my office. So we go into his office, and there's only one Masechta Shabbos there. So my father says, okay, you take the Masechta Shabbos, and let's learn. And he's sitting across from me, and he said, I'll read. And he said every word. I'm not joking. Every word. I'm looking. I've never seen that before. He's never done it for me. Like, he's just reading it like he has a Gemara. I'm looking. Maybe he's cheating. Maybe he's looking at my Gemara. No, he's just reading the Gemara. Cold. That's cold. Daddy Stefansky. He's one of the foremost experts in kashrus industry and literally wrote a book on kashrus production. He dedicated his life traveling around the world, dealing with many complex kashrus issues. I was just reading the book on somebody from our shir, who's on the cover of the book, Rabbi Goldzweig from Chicago. Also, he wrote the book on kashrus. But okay, here he wrote the book on kashrus. It's the most humble person I ever met. May the Neshama have an aliyah, and may he be a meal tzir of Klal Yisrael and his entire family. It's really David Addi. This is from Morty Tiefenbrunn. Good morning, Morty. Well, you know him? Avadim, Nachman Elzi. Baruch Hashem, he started at the beginning of Pesachim in the shir, and so far haven't missed a day from the beginning of Pesachim. We're holding Daf Nun Zayin, big accomplishment. Nun Zayin, if you go every day from the beginning of Pesachim, you basically, it's ingrained in you, becomes like just part of you, it becomes a habit, a good habit. I love the feeling of the consistency that I have from opening my Gemara every day and doing my best without worrying about whether I chop every word or not. Because as you say, the Yomi is what it's all about. 2 in a row. Today's shir touched upon a very fond memory of mine. My 8th grade Rebbe, Zal Zayin Gesund, Rebbe Yeruchim Lubavitch Shlita, Bechar of the Mir Mashgiach, Zechet Tzadik Libracha, always used to tell us that people make a terrible mistake with Chol Hamoed. Because I was talking about that people have to learn the Aloch Chol Hamoed, you can't write, you have to treat it with more respect. So he says, beautiful. They think it's Chol, that it's a weekday with a bunch of Isurim, where really it's Yontif, Chag, Moed, with a lot of kulas. It's Yontif with a lot of kulas, not a weekday with a lot of chumras. I carry that mussar with me all the time and try to impart it with my family, and I don't take my kids on Chol Hamoed trips. No, he doesn't say that. In Meir Hashem, may we all go I thought, I can't. It's Moed. What are you talking? Don't go Chalma. We'll go, Michael Choyel in Hasmodas Vahasogas HaToira, Morty, Tiefenbrunn. Oh yeah, he's a music guy. Okay, one day when we make our big. Do we have room for one quick one? Okay. This is from Avram Rosenzweig, interesting one. Boker Tov, I'm 60 with the yeshiva background, however, gave up on my adherence to halacha when I was 20. Last year I began the cycle of Daf Yomi so that I might understand my Judaism more. In other words, for example, learn what I didn't in yeshiva. Only recently did I come across your shir and wanted to thank you for your creative approach to Talmud learning and your sense of humor and community. Well done. You are contributing to my journey, and I'm very grateful for that. L'shalom Avram. So you should have atzlacha in your journey. Oh, and one last one, a picture of Reb Harry Shalom with a new guy, Josh Reef. Should finish shots with us. Yishkayach, we all know. What's Harry's new Hebrew name? Aaron. I think Aaron Shalom. Okay. Rabbi Isai, it's a pretty short, very easy daf today, daf nun zayin, and we're holding 2 lines from the bottom of daf nun ve'ov Amud Beis. And here's a question, not 100% to get to the daf. Nageya, but in a roundabout way. Almost directly though. Are you permitted, I see in our minyan, we daven outdoors. There's a guy that since the summer, he's very cold. Since the summer, he's wearing these nice gloves the entire davening. Is that okay? There's another guy in our minyan that he, not anymore, but he used to be so scared of corona. He came with a mask and a face shield and black gloves. Is that okay during Shacharis? Question number 1. Oh, we're going to see a sugi of gloves. Not negeh to Shacharis, but I'm throwing that into Shacharis. And there's other halachas. Could a kala under the chuppah wear a nice white silk glove and the chassan puts the ring on top of the glove? What do you say? A chatzitza. It says somewhere in the Torah it has to be like a ring on the finger. Torah baron. You have to be Mekadosh. So, you could. In the beginning, in Yerichai. So we're talking about the things Yerichai used to do. So yesterday we were discussing how in Yerichai they used to give peah from vegetables. And you're not supposed to give peah from vegetables. Why? Because vegetables are not one of the things that you give peah. And if you decide to be a big tzaddik and give peah, that is, set aside part of your field to give to the poor, you might be doing a mitzvah of tzedakah, but what's going to happen is that the poor are going to think that it's peah. Peah inherently is potter from Trumas and Meisers, and they're going to think it's potter from Trumas and Meisers, where it's chayiv in Trumas and Meisers because it's not part of peah. Then the Gemara says, okay, what happened was they gave the leaves of a turnip. And the question was, the leaves, are they part of the turnip? Could we say that just like the turnip lasts for a long time, and those kind of vegetables like turnips are chayiv in peah? Ememela, they're not pater and meiser. They are pater and meiser, sorry. Since the chayiv in peah, they're pater and meiser. Fine, so that's where we were, talking about the leaves of a turnip. So, says the Gemara in the beginning, hayunois in peah lelefes vilekruv. Here's the picture. We got to see this in the picture. Here's a turnip. Here's a kruv. So in the beginning, they used to give these two. Yerichai, they were so makbid, they used to give peah from turnips and cabbage. Okay. Rabbi Yossi Omer comes. Rabbi Yossi and says, "Af lekafloit, leek as well." So what do you have? 1, 2, 3. You have a turnip, cabbage, and leek. V'tanya yidach. Now, the second brayso comes along and says, they used to give peah from the turnip and the leek. Right over here, turnip, leek. Reb Shimon Omer comes, Reb Shimon says, af lekruv. So he takes it up to the center one. Turnip, cabbage, leek. He added the cabbage. So basically, both braysos agree that at one point there was 3, af, and they have machlokes in the brayso that you have turnip and cabbage, or it's turnip and leek. And they both say, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon both say that it once happened, it was turnip, cabbage, and leek. So the Gemara says, Nemo. Hold on, this might be a... Okay, we have some extra ones over here. Talking about Rabbi Dambi, yesterday he sponsored But he gave me some extra ones. Here we go. Neima tloset anoya havu. We're holding Daf Nun Zayin Amud Aleph on the top. So chayra we have 3 shitas. Turnip and cabbage, turnip, cabbage, leek, turnip and leek. Where it really shouldn't be 3. Says the Gemara, loy, trei tanoya havu. In fact, there's only 2 shitas total. V'tana kama de Reb Shimon hainu Reb Yosi. Reb Shimon and Reb Yosi basically say the same thing. V'tana kama de Reb Yosi and Reb Shimon. Umay af akamaiso. So, when we read the Brisa, B'Rishayno Yunoisim Peil Alefes V'Lekruv. So in the beginning, they used to give turnip and cabbage. Says Reb Yosi, af likafloit. Not that we're adding leek to these 2, but we're adding leek by itself. So it's turnip and leek. Where Reb Yosi says af, he's saying only these 2. He's not saying all 3, he's saying turnip and leek. So there's 2 now. Turnip and cabbage? No, it's turnip and leek. Nobody ever said 3. That's what the Gemara is going to say. So it's really 2 shitas. And then Reb Shimon comes along with Tanya Idach on the bottom of Amud Beis. His shita is what we just said: turnip, and leek. Reb Shimon Oimer aflikruv. Aflikruv is not that it's 3. Take off the leek. It's always, this is consistent. It's always a turnip. The question is it turnip and a leek, or is it turnip and a cabbage? No one says it's turnip, leek, and cabbage. It's not 3. It's only 2. So maybe we have 2 shitas. It's either turnip and cabbage or turnip and leek. Zchus. Rabbi Isai, I still didn't get any shidduchim for our friend, the guy, the mechaber of the Kids Corner in Har Magaz. He's 32 years old. Mordechai Sapaznik. I want to hear some eitzes. Rabbi Isai, quick. 32 from Brooklyn. You rather live in Brooklyn. Shilach time. Zog the Gemara. So we have Treta Noyav. Tara Rabbanan. Ben Bahayayin, or whatever his name is, Nosan Peya Liyarek. The son of Bahayayin, or Bahayan, whatever you want to call him, he used to give Peya on vegetables. And we said, vegetables is not something you give Peya. What's the problem? Rashi on Amud Beis says the problem is that the aniyim, the poor people, are not going to realize, and they're not going to give trumas ha'maisros. They're going to eat tevel. It's Issa D'Oraisa. Over here, on this Amud, Rashi seems to say a different problem, that you're being mafkiya trumas ha'maisros. You are not giving the Levi and the Kayan what they deserve. You're making it into hefker, into peya. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Uba aviv gewaldige Meisa. Unbelievable. Uba aviv u'motzan la'aniyim shayu te'unim yerek. His father walks in on these poor people, and they're carrying sacks full of vegetables. V'oimdim al Pesach Hagino, and they're about to leave. Omar lahem, in a beautiful lashon, Bonai, my sons, hashlichum aleichem, do me a favor, put everything back where it came from. V'ani noisen lochem kiflayim b'mu'usor, don't worry about it. I will give you double than what you just took from the good stuff, from the chulin that I took meiser. It's right. I'm concerned that you're going to go home and not take trumas and meisers. And he continues, Loi mepnei she'eni tzara. It's not because I'm stingy and I don't want you to take the vegetables. Ela mepnei she'amru chachamim ein noisnim peya layarek. This is halacha that you don't give peya from vegetables. Why? Because Rashi says you're mafkia the meiser. You're removing the hilchas meiser. You're supposed to give 10%, a little bit to the Kayan and 10% to the Levi, and the Levi is supposed to give another 10%. The kids are, it's not going to happen from all those vegetables that you decide to be a tzaddik on. Says the Gemara, why does he have to explain it to them? He's giving them double. So why does he have to say, oh, you should know I'm not stingy? Obviously he's not stingy. He's giving them more than they took out. There was a Maisa, famous story with I believe it's the Boston Rebbe. I hope he's not makbid that they say over the story, but I heard it many times from the Boston Rebbe. During his daughter Shara Brachas, he realized that he made a mekach taos, that his son-in-law, the new one, is not what he thought it was. So he called his son-in-law over, and he said, I don't know, but okay, who wrote that? Somebody's up there. They are dying from the heat. The guy's up there in the little, all the heat goes up there, and they're dying. So they threw on the screen in front of the basement. You see everybody's laughing. They threw on the screen. Turn off the heat. We are dying up here. It's like a SOS call from up there. They can't escape. It's already, it got to their brains. They can't get out of there. But Baruch Hashem, listen. Dr. Factor's up there together. They know, yeah, Gehenim's down below, not up there. At least Dr. Factor learned not to whisper. I could hear everything. I hear it all. But now that's not a good idea either. The Olam started laughing. Oh, the Bas and the Rebbe. Okay, let's go back. There's a story about the Bas and the Rebbe. The Bas and the Rebbe, during Shara Brachas, he realizes that his new son-in-law is Litvish. I'm kidding. He realized he's not what he thought he was. So he goes over to his son-in-law and says, listen, I watched the new wedding video, it's beautiful, and I realized and I noticed that during the chuppah, you didn't have kavana. When you gave the ring, there was something's missing there. So what I suggest is that you do it again. You do it, give Hared Mekadesh, do it again. Okay. But there's a problem. You can't be ma'arer on a kiddushin that happened. So you give a quick get, and then you do the kiddushin. The guy says, okay, if the Rebbe wants. So he gives a quick get, and then the Rebbe says, okay, stop, time out. Now we have to think about the kiddushin. Thanks for the get. Right? That's the Maisa. You never heard the story?
Never heard the story.
Okay. I heard it from a number of different sources. And that's not the Boston Rebbe, the one from here, one from Eretz Israel. Fine. Says the Gemara. It's not for your book. It's not going to make it to your book. Huh?
It's a really weird story.
Listen, it's all my stories are true. Just some of them didn't happen yet. It's right to happen. Fine. Zok the Gemara. So why do you tell these guys, I'm telling you, I'm going to give you double. I'm not stingy. Maybe he's playing a trick with them. Drop it. I'm going to give you double. And then once they drop it, he says, okay, that's it. Now move out of here. Leave my field. You're trespassing. He's explaining to them, look, the reason is I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to give you a good reason. It makes sense logically that I have to do so because there's an isser to give from Yarok. I'm going to give you good stuff. You know, today we have a little extra time. We can do taisvus inside. Find a little bit of taisvus, top taisvus. As taisvus bim tumor. What is the problem here in the Gemara? If Bahayayan, whatever his name is, his son, gave these vegetables as payah, so essentially he said, these are all hefker. All these vegetables are hefker, and hefker is not chayiv and meiser. What's the concern? Rashi says, you mafkia meiser, you're taking away from the kohanim. You're allowed to be mafker. Says, Taisa two tirutzim. Yishleimar kebesil the arim mesechtes payah. Einoi hefker at sheyufker la'anim vila ashirim kishmita. Hefker, a new yisod in hefker. When it comes to these things, hefker has to be hefker for everybody, not just for one part of the community, not just for the aniyim. Hefker, I'm giving it even for the wealthy. Now, the wealthy can't take these vegetables. That he didn't have that in mind. Second, very, very important teretz, inami. Skip along, like 7 lines down, inami. Afilu beishamai the afilu mepeyo v'sarvi the hefker la'aniyim hefker. Even if you hold that it's okay to be mafker for part of the society. Hacha mechayvi, over here, the stibi chayiv in meiser mishum the hefker b'tos havi. Yes, the son gave all these fruit, all these vegetables as a gift to the poor because he thought that vegetables are chayiv and payah. He made a mistake. So a mistake doesn't constitute of a true hefker, and therefore there'd still be chayiv in meiser. Tana Rabbana. There was a place in the Beis HaMikdash, right on the border between the Azara, the real Azara and the Azara of the Yisraelim over here and the Ezras Nashim. There's a little room over here in red. I don't know if you could zoom in, Gary. Tiny, there's 3 rooms, and the center one is called Lishkas HaParva. Now, parva in Hebrew, I don't know if that's how you spell it really, but parva is fur, but that's not why. It's called parva because that was the name of the guy, the person that donated it, or that was his name. Beis HaParva. Now, right over here, they would put all the hides. Hides, we'll see, are very valuable. Who gets the hides? So the pasuk says, "V'hakoyin hamakriv es oilas ish or ha'oila sher hikriv lakoyin lo yiyah." The koyin and the oila, the hide on the oila goes to who? Lo yiyah, to the koyin. So when you're talking about kachin, the oilas, the chatas, whatever it is, the hides, valuable hides, go to the koyin that's in the Beis Hamikdash at that time doing the hakrava. We learn a limud, it says in the pasuk oila, but anything similar to oila, to exclude kachin kalim like a shlamim that goes to the owner. Everything goes to the owner. So in the beginning, they would put all the hides in Lishkas Beis Parva. La'erev, then they came at night and they would divide it between. So every week was a different mishmar. There's 24 mishmares. Every day of the week, so they had mishmares. They would divide the mishmares, large families. Every day, Sunday was this family within the mishmar. Monday is this family. So each person, Rashi points out, look, some days there were tremendous amount of korbanos. Sometimes there's less people that had to bring chatois, less, whatever it was. It doesn't matter. Each day went to that mishmar. What happened was, nothing changed since then. The tough guys would come, the tough kohanim, from that mishmar, and grab whatever they wanted to grab. It wasn't fair. Hiskinu, they made a takana shu mechalkin oisim erev Shabbos le'erev Shabbos. So they decided, okay, only on Friday. We're going to divvy it up on Fridays only for that mishmar of that week. So every week there's a one mishmar. They would all come together. Why? The assumption was there are going to be so many kohanim, the tough guys are going to lose their power. They made a mistake. Back then, the same thing happened. You have the Rav of the Shul, you have the big Rosh Hashiva, you have these guys that come, and forget about that they were tough guys. They were tough in a different way. Nobody wanted to say anything to them. Comes the Rav, you're going to start fighting with him. Hey, Rabbi, you took 10, you should only take 1. He took whatever he wanted to take. I'm the Rav. Nobody can say anything.
The newspaper can get Pachkevili, what are you?
Exactly. You can't say anything, because if you do say anything, they'll throw your kids out of that cheder, whatever it is, the whole. They're Bal Yisrael in a different way. You know what they did? They said, if it's not for us, if we can't get it, we can't benefit, no one will. Why should the Rav take it home? They made it Hegdish. Who's the Bailam? All the Koyanim, says Rashi. They all got together and made it Hegdish. No, so it's going to be Hegdish in the future. Fine, certain master with Bezdin, however they did it. Amru, there was so much income from these hides that they were able to make tiles made out of pure gold. Shehin amal ama, tiles like we have today. 2 feet, 24 inches by 24 inches. Hungarian, Beis Hamikdash. Koivi dinners of. I'm the Hungarian. I like Trump. I want the gold. My wife, no, it's too gaudy. No, she's the Hungarian. No, too gaudy. Dinners of, like a thin, I don't know how thick dinner is. I can imagine. It's like a matbeya, the thin thing, but it was amma by amma, 22 feet by 2 feet. Ularegel, so the entire heichal. Where's the heichal? The heichal. Can't go into the heichal. Us Yisraelim cannot go in. Rabbi Shomer can go in. Here's the heichal. This giant building, 60 amas tall, whatever it was, 100 amas tall, 200 amas. Depends. This heichal, full of gold. On the walls, I think it was. Fine. What happened was, Uleregel, when all of Klai Yisrael would come visit the Beis Hamikdash, they would pile all the tiles up and show everybody. Some say it was over here by the steps. or somewhere in the Amud Beis, so all of Klal Yisrael could see, look what they did with all this, with all the money. They bought all these golden tiles. Look how beautiful they are. They're perfectly square. They're very thin. Beautiful stuff. No, says Rashi, there's no doifi, there's no, how do you say doifi in English? There's no blemish. No, they're perfect. No flaw. Oh, I like that word. That's a great word. There's no flaw in these tiles. Perfect. Zog the Gemara. Yesterday we were learning that one of the things that the people in Yericho did was they used to use the branches that used to grow after their fathers were magdish the trees. Why were their fathers magdish the trees? Two types of trees, shikma and charov, the carob and the sycamore trees. They would be magdish. Whoa, what's going on? Why? The Gemara explains. Tana abishal oimer kairoi shel shikma hayu b'yerichai. They have the trunks. Usually a kaira is a beam. Rashi says it's the entire tree, the whole trunk of a tree. In Yerichai, here we go again. You think in those days people calmer, nicer people? They had them shugayim back then too. The tough guys used to come and steal the trunks of the tree, the entire tree. They'd come with a pickup truck, throw it in the pickup, and go. They said, if they're going to steal it, we are going to make the entire tree. Now these are trees that are attached to the ground because they grew later. They'd come with a chainsaw, chop, chop, take. Say these people in Yericho, that's why they did it. We're going to make it Kaddish L'Shamayim. Comes the next generation and says, wait a minute, our forefathers, they made the entire tree Hegdish. Why? They had a major problem with the tough guys. But what about the new branches? We're going to chop the new branches off and use them. Aleim, says the Gemara, Aleim, there were many situations like this. Aleim, Valkayotze behem, similar situation on Abishol. For instance, Ben Butnis, Mishum Abba Yosef ben Chanan, Oili me Beis Baitus. There was a Kohen Gadol, his name is Baitus. Oili ma'alason. We got to be worried from his club. I have a picture. Here's a club in those days. You see with the spokes, with the spikes. Get a zetz from this. His slaves used to run around giving people shtickle vaccine. What is this? What is it called? That the Chinese thing. You give a... No, when you're not... acupuncture. Shtickle, this is the original acupuncture. Yeah, good stuff. So he's a Kohen Gadol. And his slaves are running around beating people up with these terrible clubs. Oili mi beis chanin, again, another Kohen Gadol. Oili mi lichishasan. They wouldn't use a physical stick, but they would go around giving people bad advice. That's what they would do, bad advice. Hold on, we got to say Shalom Aleichem to some people here. Dan Rubinov, Shalom Aleichem. Oh, yeah, now I remember. Dan Rubinov, Shalom Aleichem. You were sponsored last week. Shalom Avracha. Here, this is what he looks like, Rabbi Yisai. Larry Pearl is on. It's good to see Larry. Larry is doing, Baruch Hashem, better. He's on, and he's showing his face. It's tremendous news. David Handler, Shalom Aleichem. Daddy Kornbluth, Zadie Kornbluth, Shalom Aleichem. How are you? It's good to see your face. He's looking at me like I'm crazy. Daddy Kornbluth is with us from day one. Yisrael Chayfetz, Shalom Aleichem, and Kasil Weisberger. All right, going back. Zog de Eile Gemara. Oili milichishason. Oili, fine. Next. Oili mibeis kasrois. Another Kohen Gadol. Oili mikulmoison. They had bad pens. I'm thinking it's like a newspaper. Pachkevilin. You could write terrible things about people, and you could destroy people with writing. Oili mibeis Shmuel ben Piyachi. Oili me'groifon. They were boxers, they were tough guys, they used to beat people up. Again, another Kohen Gadol. Shehem, all these four Kohanim Gedolim. Ubneim, Gizbarim. They put the ganze Mishpach into the business. Their sons were the Gizbarim of the Beis HaMikdash. V'chasneim, Amar Kolin. Amar Kolin is, Amar Kol, says Rashi. Whatever they say goes in the Beis HaMikdash. In other words, they were in charge. The Avdeim, Choyvtim Esa'am, B'maklois, and their slaves would run around roughing people up. So, Bekitzer, they were bad guys. Tanu Rabbanon. Arba tzvachos tzavcha azara. There were three baskol, so to speak, in the Azara, Rishoyna, Tzu Mika b'nei Eli. Get out of here, the children of Eli. Shetimu Heichal Hashem. How are they Mentam Heichal Hashem? We learned it. Rashi brings the pasuk, Asher Yishkivun es Hanoshim. The simple meaning of the pasuk is that they pashu were Oivar Neshesish. But the Gemara tells us, Kol Oimer b'nei Eli chatu, in that Aveira of Neshesish in Elataya. What happened was, we learned in Shabbos, right? They would hold back the korbanos of women who gave birth, and Memela, the women couldn't go home to their husbands, so it was as if they were Oivar Neshesish, from holding back the women. That Aveira said, Tzu mikan, you can't be part of the Beis HaMikdash. V'oitzavcha tzei mikan yisachar ish kvar barkoi shemechabed es atzmoi umechalel kodesh shomayim. How is he mechabed himself and mechalel kodesh shomayim? Unbelievable story. The Gemara is going to go into it in a second. He would take silk and wrap his hand with silk. And he would perform the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, a kohen gadol, with silk on his hands, gloves on his hands. What's the problem? Says Rashi, two problems. First of all, chatzitza. You have to be touching the korbanos, the blood. He didn't want to get touched by the blood. I heard of Mardika Maisa. I can relate to it. If you have children that have, what is it called? Mamish, I'm losing all the words today. Sensory. Kids that only eat pizza. That mamish mefunik, you'd say, pass at the Suda, pass that tray of meat. No, I can't touch it. Nothing, zero. So imagine such a person, a Rav, that blood grosses him out, you can't even imagine. So they said, if everything grosses you out so much, so how could you do a bris milah? Metzitza, beped, the whole thing. How could you do it? It's disgusting. He says, no, I don't, it's a mitzvah. I don't look at it as blood, I look at it as a mitzvah. And this kohen gadol was worried about the blood. So number one, says Rashi, it's chatzitza. Number two, it's a bezayin to the mitzvah. Two things. Could you wear gloves during Shachris? Says the Bach, it's usher to wear gloves during davening. So Shlomo Zalman Auerbach explains, it's a bezayin. The same shaykhs that in the Beis HaMikdash. You understand that it's a bezayin? So Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says that the Bach is talking about, stop, he's wearing gloves. But if he's freezing cold, like the guy in our minion, then 100% it's okay. But like if you want to be cool and wear like a silk glove, that's awesome. Now, stop real quickly. In Shechita, there's a machlokes if you're allowed to wear a glove. Rav Moshe Feinstein says you're allowed to. Rav Moshe says it's awesome. But when you check the bedikas of the reya, obviously you can't wear a glove. Now, the Shut Torah Lishma, which a lot of people say, most people say it's the Ben Ish Chai. There's a shaila because it doesn't say exactly who. He says it's also for Bal Koira to wear gloves while he's laying. And finally, one other Aloch, a Sofer is not allowed to wear gloves. And a Kala cannot wear gloves during Kiddushin. You said that's not a Chiddush. Okay. Says the Gemara. We're going to see in a second this amazing story. No, did I say it? No. Yishmael ben Piyachi should come in. That who is Yishmael ben Piyachi? The Talmud of Pinchas. V'shamish b'kuna g'doyla. V'yitzavcha azar. Let him come in, and we're going to see soon that the chiddush over here. I'll just say it over here because his children were one of these guys running around. We had before. Oily me beis Yishmael ben Piyachi. Oily me groifan. We just said before, they were one of the Kohanim G'dalim, the kids were running around beating people up. Says the Baskal, but the Kohen Gadol himself was a good guy. Let him in. I think that's the Ben Yayad or somebody, the Marsha says it. V'yitzavcha azara, Sushar Meshechem, v'yikonis Yochanan ben Nirbai, Talmidoi shel Pinkai. Says the Marsha, who's this? Who's the Talmud of Pinkai? What? Rashi. Shkoyach. I'm getting confused between Rashi and the Marsha. Good stuff. Who is this Ben Pinkai? Pinkai is Pinchas, but because the Marsha wants to say that Yochanan is Yochanan, the famous Yochanan Kohen Gadol who served as a Kohen Gadol for 80 years, and he became Tzduki at the end of his life. So we don't want to say that he was the Talmud of Pinchas. So the Gemara changed his name to a funny name, Pinkai. Let him come in and eat. Amr al Yochanan ben Nirbai. Shoyoichel shalosh meis agolim. He would eat 300 calves. V'shoyse shalosh meis garbi yayin. So when you first read it, you can say, okay, 300 is a guzma, like 400 is a guzma. But Rashi says that he's a Bal Chesed. He took in tons of kohanim and he would feed them all. That's why he needed so many. Darch Laner says it's talking about the whole year. This is what he ate in a year. So it would come out approximately 1 calf a day, which is a lot also. And he eat a tremendous measurement of young birds in 1 suda, which is, it's hard to say that, okay, 1 suda. Amru, kol yom of shayochem ben Erbai loy nimsa noiser b'migdash. Baruch Hashem, there's nothing left over. He would take care of everything. Says the Gemara, yeah, like bachrim, like snakes. Whatever happened to this kohen gadol that wore gloves during the avodah? Amri. Malko savi asvi. It's interesting that over here the Gemara doesn't say what it is, and Rashi avoids saying what it is. It says Malchi Beis Chashmonoi, but we learned in Krisos that this is Yanai. For some reason, Rashi, they don't want to say what it is, maybe because of what happened. Malko Omar, Gad Yoy. A typical argument between a husband and wife, king and the queen. He says, oh, I'm telling you, goat is much better than lamb. Goat chops and lamb chops, there's no comparison. Goat is better. Some say it's on a hoicha, they were arguing about a Baruch Hu, and a whole zach, fine, different chassidus svarim I saw, bemes, I'm not joking. Imri the lamb tastes better. Amru, man muchach. Who understands about lamb and goats better than anyone else in this world? Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol understands, he has it all day long. The massacre is called Yoima. So he shows up. We just turned to Daf Amud Beis. Surprise. 8 lines. Sponsored by Gedalia Fenster, Refua Shleima V'Yirachmiel Daniel Ben Tova Basha. Yesterday, one of the Chashuvim in our shir, Reb Naftali Rishel, said that he actually knows Gedalia Fenster's website. He has 20,000 followers or something. He has good divrei Torah. It's Al-Pi Bresov, I think. If anybody's into that, check it out. Maybe not. Maybe it's Stam good stuff. The few that I saw. Says the Gemara, Ach v'biyodei. So he did something, I don't know exactly. He went like this. Like, both of you, shaitim. What's the shayla b'chlal? You don't do that to a king. It's not a good thing. What's the number 1 carbon? Like every single day, it's carbon tamid. If the goat tasted better, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu should say, take a tamid from a goat. But that's not what we use. We use sheep. So Maridikarai says that sheep are much better, proven from the tamid. Omer Malka says the Melech Yanai. First of all, chutzpah. He argues with me. Now, how is he supposed to know that that's what the king said? But maybe he said, look, I say like this, my wife says like that. He should have had seichel and said like the king. Yeah, but Rashi says both. So number 1, he's mezalz, he went like this. Number 2, he didn't even say. Not only did he not say like me, he went with his hand. Omer Malka, let's chop off his right hand. So what does he do? He says, I'm a righty. Without a right hand, it's no good. So he goes to the hand chopper and says, here's $100. Do me a favor, pretend that you chopped off my right hand. Chop off the left hand instead. Shama Malka, and the king heard about it. So he chopped off his left hand, and then when the king heard about what he did, the trick, he said, chop off his right hand. So, number 1, you see like this. A lot of times people say, oh, because of Corona, so I lost my job, or because of this, I lost X amount of money. And it's l'maisa, it's the exact opposite. You were supposed to lose money. You were supposed to lose your job. So how did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do it? He came up with Corona. He did this and this and then. He got fired. This Kohen Gadol had to have his hands chopped off. So he made an argument between the king and the queen, and they decided, it's not that, oh, there happened to be an argument, and then we bring in. That's number 1, that's what we have to understand. Number 2 is, the Ben Yehoyada points out here, that when he put on the glove on his right hand, how did he put it on? He put it on with his left hand. He went like this. So the left hand got punished. Not only did they got punished first. And then he got punished with the right hand. It's also, I'm just saying, I'm sticking this in. It's a siman to show. Well, he was a shaita. He didn't chat that the king is going to know. People are walking, the Kohen Gadol is walking around without a left hand. The king is going to find out in a millisecond that the left hand came off. What was he thinking? That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. He should have the wrong thought, and he's going to get the einish of getting both his hands chopped off. Omer Rav Yosef. Birich Rachman, I got to slow down. It's not 8 o'clock yet. Birich Rachman de Ashkeli li socher ish kvar barkoi limitrifasei. Yeah, well, I didn't learn them really. They're very, very long. So, says Rav Yosef, I have to check it out because it seems like a lot of Rav Yosef said this often. Birich Rachman, you see from here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was nice to him and paid him up in this world. Minei b'hayalma. And the Ben Yehoyada says it's a hint in the words. Yisachar is Sachar. And why does the Gemara have to say where he lives? Kfar Barkoi. So he learns, I forgot what he says Barkoi, but he says Kfar is Kapara. So you get Tzchar and you got Kapara in this world. Minei b'hayalma. Omer Rashi. Yisachar is Kfar Barkoi. Loi tonim as nisan. Had he learned, says Rashi, even Brises, the Gemara says Mishnayos, and Brises, the Snan, it says in the Mishnah. He should have learned a little bit. He didn't learn. Everywhere in the Torah it says kvasim and then izim. So I would think the Torah is telling us what comes first. You should know a keves is more chashav. It tastes better than a gedi. And one time it flips it. Im keves yavi korbanoi. The gedi comes first. To teach us that there's no difference whatsoever. So if you're mechuyev in a korban, you can bring a goat just as fast as you bring a sheep. Ravina Amar afilu mikro nami lo yikara. Forget the Mishnah. You didn't even get to, I don't want to say which type of guys never learn Chumash. In yeshiva, they don't teach us Chumash and Navi. Afilu mikro nami lo yikara. D'chsiv im keves im eiz. That the pasuk says in boi keves leise, if you want to bring a sheep, i boi eiz leise. Hadran Aloch Makom Shenahagu Uslika Lo Pesach Rishon. Hadran Aloch Makom Shenahagu. Hadran Aloch Makom Shenahagu. Mamshaneis 800. Have a wonderful day. והוא יבדל את ישראל מכל אבן יסוב אחרי נגוב את ישראל, הנצלנו בצור ושיביו, הואים דם בין ביום ובין ביבוש המוקים מלאכם ונמצאים, מצור לבוך ומאפיל לא ירשו גדלו, שטוב הגדול זמן קוראים ונאמר, אמן. New Yorkers, don't leave, New Yorkers. I got to see my New York friends. Oh, Avrami Leibowitz. I just saw Avrami. Where's Ben Schwartz? Sunday morning, the best day for me. All the chaver from New York show up. Reb Zalman Weiss, Shalom Aleichem, Reb Zalman. Hi, Rebbe Mizrahi, Manishma. First time ever or on Zoom? I recognize the name. No, so join us more often. You should know, Joe, there's a lot of New Yorkers. A lot of New Yorkers that come on every single, it's like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock with them. They come on every day. You should just know. Not Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz, we miss you. He's from the Five Towns. It's different in the Five Towns. But in Borough Park, it's not a problem. What do you mean? Torah, they need it. Mordechai Ashkenazi, tell him how you do it.
Back home in Morashim, the Galil.
A lot of drinking.
I watch it here every day, but I can't do it on Zoom.
I'm telling you, but it's a different experience, no?
Why is it important?
It's a different experience to see all the guys and to see this chat going on and all that stuff. Why is it important? What do you say? I didn't hear what you said, Yossi.
Why
is it important that you finish at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, because from day one, there was a big machlokes when the shir should be. I don't know why we decided 7:15. The problem is in Israel, 8 o'clock is when all the kids go to school. So a lot of the fathers, the younger guys like Reuven Chet that have kids, and my kids also go to school then, but that's a different story. So they basically leave the house at about 8:05. So all the fathers in the shir would get up and run out. We made a thing. We were going to try really hard to finish at 8. Also to make it a 45-minute shir. So now
I'll look up for you. I think the question was the other way around.
What?
Why did you finish by 8 and not earlier?
No, I thought you were going to say, why do I finish at 8:02 every day?
Rebellion, I realized that if we did 4 daf a day, it would also make it 45 minutes. It's not, we have the net. It's half an hour, half a daf, 2 daf, 1 daf.
Hey, Nach, listen to me. Listen. At the end of the day, when Shabbos comes in at 8 o'clock, I'm flying out of the shower at 7:45. When Shabbos comes in at 1 o'clock, I fly out of the shower at 1:45. You should know. This morning, preparing the daf also, I said to myself, okay, it's a very short daf. I'm going to Be'ezer Hashem do a lot of hilchas. There's a tremendous amount of hilchas Pesach. If you look at the daf, the whole thing, why is it such a short Amud? Because it says, I'm going to read it real quickly, and I'm going to jot down all the Alochs that I think are negel, or mais, or whatever, or interesting, and give the olam over. I never got to it, because just everything I fill up at 7 o'clock, I'm done learning, finished. No matter how difficult the daf is, how easy the daf is, for some reason that's what happens. It's a procrastination, that's what it is. Listen. Does it? There's a guy, I noticed a few guys in this really frum shul, they finish Shemona Esrei double. In other words, when the Chazan finishes Shemona Esrei, all of a sudden they finish. They start with everybody, and it takes them as long as the whole Chazar shots. But I noticed something very interesting. A couple of times the Chazan didn't start right away. There was a 5-minute delay, and for some reason they finished poof when the Chazan finishes. The Chazan was very quick that day. They finish when the Chazan finishes. So I don't understand what happened. It's not a minute thing. It's just okay. Listen, that's how it goes. Azoy geht die Welt. Hi, Lauren. Lauren, you're also. What are you? You're in New York. You can only show up Sunday morning. I don't see you during the week, Lauren. What's going on? Huh? He's on? The Olam sees him? There's a limit. There's only a certain amount. I have the most that you could get.
It's not a joke. On Zoom, you can select 25 or 50. You can select 50 participants in the settings to show you 50 people at a time.
I don't think so. I've never seen that. You could see 50? What? 49. Yeah, I have 49. I do have 50. I have 50. But I have 4 screens. Today I had 3 screens. How many guys were on today? Wow.
Thank you everybody for sticking up for me. Ellie, there's another joke. What's the difference between a Shabbos thing and a horse race?
Yeah.
A horse race, all the horses start at the same time, but they end at different times.
Very good. Very good. Very like it. Good stuff.
Some people practice LIFO, last in, first out.
Hey guys, gotta go down and have a great day, everybody. Ellie, thank you.
Take care, Monty.
Have a good day, everyone.
What?
Hey, hours of 5.5 hours here.
Yeah.
Put together the Aura America, so it was phenomenal this week.
It was? Moshe Hirsch is in charge, I think. Ari Bloom, which part do you like? I know why you said it's phenomenal. Of course, because the whole piece on the Lubavitcher, the Friedrich Rebbe. Where's Shlomi Klein? Yeah, look at these Lubavitchers. Look at them. Ay. I was wondering what he was saying. Oh, I know what he's saying. Yisrael Shalitsky also spoke about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I got it. It was a double whammy for Lubavitch. Double whammy. Yisrael Shalitsky going Lubavitch on us. In middle of the week. In the middle of the week, he went to Bubov. He went to the Bubov caver and davened for everybody.
I'll kick him out of the bar box soon.
Rebelli, you mentioned Breslov today. I'm telling you, his mamish MDY is so bad for shidduchim. I gotta be careful over here. People are gonna think I'm a babish. Breslov, that's just we've got to get Shenahagu married soon. Seriously, he's getting married.
I didn't know he's not married. I didn't know. We have to start doing stuff.
Rebelli said the Hasidic is for him. He saw the Hasidic is for him.
I did. 2-3 svarim.
I want to talk very quick from Brazil. A very quick thing. The Stat Merber said, the point is that thank you for not letting me be on the street corners. He said, no, it's the people in the big murder said the man on the side, does not involve the MDY. This is man shit. The South of the issue guns, they didn't put me on the side. Everyone's involved.
Shkoyach. I heard you said in the Levaya something from Shmuel, Brazil, no?
Yeah. That was actually 3-4 days into Shiva. It wasn't the actual Levaya. But I mentioned a couple of things.
Yeah, Eli Trapper, Shulam Avrucha. Avrum Lewis, don't go anywhere. Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know, I actually started another Masechta in addition to this one, and hopefully I'll be able to see him on 2 Masechtas in one stone.
Wow. So which one do you know? Which one is it? Let me hear. Which one? Erevin. Erevin is tough. You picked the wrong one, I think.
No, I picked the right one.
Only if you watch my shir, because my shir has a lot of pictures. Over 600 diagrams. Masechtas Erevin. Over 600 diagrams. Huh? Should I tell Fagito or me? Is it Bivrit? Okay, I'll tell Fagito.
And I've tried to do it myself.
Ooh. Listen, Eli. Every time you watch a shir, I need you to give a thumbs up. Because there's one character that gives a thumbs down every shir. One guy. He comes on, he doesn't watch, he gives a thumbs down.
Yeah, Eli, you just see one thing. When I got started with this year, I never missed one year on suffering.
Wow. So that's awesome.
Halfway there.
Ben, what? No. You're not going anywhere. Ben, what's going on with you?
Emily, we're very impressed. You didn't miss a single daf either.
Yeah, I also didn't miss a single daf since Pesachim. I'm proud of myself. Very proud.
I never did a single year on the suffering.
I know, it's amazing.
By the way, Ali, as a side note, there's a lot more New Yorkers that actually watch you on YouTube.
I was one of them for 7 weeks.
What does that mean, a lot more? A lot more than what?
Not New York, you're in New Jersey.
You have a limited
Over there.
hour.
Of course.
A lot of people that recently joined this year on YouTube because they can't,
Of course. I mean, you could see the numbers. YouTube has over 1,000 views per share. And Zoom is only 150. By the way, Yosef, I took off my, I deleted my app and I reinstalled it and now everything is working again. So hopefully it stays like that. How does your app work? Joel, is your app working okay?
Hello, New York.
On days when it's less than 1,000 views, like 900 views, Shlomi Klein watches the shit like 150 times.
It doesn't help. You know it doesn't help. You can't get 2 views. It has to be 100 different devices. We should. I'm gonna ask Gary if we could put in the Aliyas Hagag in the room over there. Maybe we could put in 100 devices, and every day we'll have a guy. We'll pay a guy to click Or maybe some company in India does it.
That's what Bill said with 70 million Twitter fans. It's really 3 separate in New York. It's okay, Ellie, I keep getting emails from these people. They're offering to do that for us for a small fee.
Oh, really? Ooh, Ellie Trapper. Ellie, good call, Ellie. Good call. How you doing, Peretz Rappaport? Shalom Aleichem. Peretz. How are you? Where are you again? Remind me.
I'm in Muncie. I actually have to behave because my professor Ben Schwartz is there. So I have to be careful.
You don't have to.
1 minute. What do you mean, professor? Where you're in school?
I'm in dental school, so he watches over me over there. Make sure I behave. Sure.
Wow.
YouTube is still running, so even if Ben's not here, he's gonna see it. Oh wait, he's still.
1 minute. So time out. Ben Schwartz is your professor in school?
Yeah.
I didn't know he's a professor. I know he has 2 offices. He's a professor. Psh, covered. Such covered.
No, I didn't even know he was doing this.
So let me Peretz. That's right. Did he tell you that if you do the daf, he's gonna pass you or something? What did he do? How did he get you?
I don't want him to pass. He said he's going to be my... No. If he passes, he's my competition. He's not passing. Ben, can I come and have some free implants, please? I can mail you them.
What is it? An implant.
Anyways, Avrumi, what's that? Avrumi. It was great to see your son over there in Cancun. Givaldic. They sent the email in. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah, kol hakavod. Kol hakavod.
Morning, Belly.
It's beautiful to get your sons on board, huh?
Is it on
Can you hear me? Yeah. Ellie, you have to sign up to YouTube. I want a nice sign off so the people who are listening, they can hear, and then I can make the video end at that point.
What do you mean? What am I supposed to say?
Say, don't forget to email me. Send me a picture. No, you can't say don't forget to email me. That's cheating people because they know that.
We have a lot of Yosef. We have a lot of emails I have to catch up on. I have 50 emails I didn't read.
I want to know who watches till the end. I want to know who watches till the end.
All these guys already sent in. Ben Schwartz, by the way, your email is one of the top emails. Still remains the top.